Hi, I'm Matt, and welcome to Making Dollars and Cents at the Box Office. It was a beast of a weekend for theaters, with no shortage of magical numbers for the top 12, making any studio executive the belle of the ball. Disney invited audiences from across the globe this weekend to come and be their guests for the premiere of their latest live-action animated adaptation, Beauty and the Beast, which premiered to a very impressive $174.8 million from domestic showhouses. That in and of itself is already a feat, given that the film has a $160 million production budget, and a domestic debut of this height is kind of unheard of for the live-action remake genre. But that's just the first course for this film, because internationally it made $182.3 million, meaning in just 3 days, it made $357 million worldwide. Honestly, it's a surprise to no one that this weekend's Beast to Beat was Disney's film, but the level of success here was really not expected. The reason for that success, though, really comes down to Disney's capitalization of the nostalgia factor for young 20-somethings to mid-30-year-olds. Sure, it's a great film to go take your kids out to, but Disney really placed their bets on young adults coming out in full force for this film to really push it over the top, and they hit the jackpot. But moving on though, the other newcomer of the weekend, the Elco Experiment, while only pulling in $4.1 million, landing at spot number 7, was still a relative success given that the film only had a $5 million production budget. Yes, would studio executives like to have seen this film perform better? Obviously, but it never stood the chance of holding its own against the likes of Beauty and the Beast, Logan, and even Get Out. And yes, despite being counter-programming for those first two, Get Out is still the superior film within the horror genre. Plus, Elco kinda fell into the same pit that the whole of the Purge series did, as it presented some really interesting concepts and possible statements, but could never really evolve any of those past the general premise. With a 48% and a 43% on Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic respectively, it looks like this experiment was a failure. Looking ahead to next weekend now, we have 4 films that are releasing nationwide, but have the unfortunate fate of going up against Beauty and the Beast, which I have no doubts will take the top of the box office for another week. First up, and maybe the only one that might have the power to give Disney a run for their money, is Lionsgate's Power Rangers. That's right, continuing in the vein of cashing in on some serious nostalgia, we have the story of 5 teens from Angel Grove that get chosen by fate and destiny to protect their tiny town from Rita Repulsa, who's an alien who's looking to level all of the world and claim ownership over it. Given the fact that this was one of my favorite TV shows while growing up as a little kid, you better believe I'm going to see this movie this weekend, even though I know I'm fully getting played. Next up, we have Warner Brothers' Chips, which is also looking to capitalize on the nostalgia of its viewers, as it's a film based on the 1977-83 TV series of the same title, about 2 California Highway Patrol officers and their many crazy and eccentric adventures together. Yes, it's very much your typical buddy film, but with a cast starring Dax Shepard, Michael Pena, and Kristen Bell, my guess is this might actually be a fun time at the theater and well worth the price of admission. And a bag of chips. Also releasing this weekend is Sony's sci-fi thriller Life, which is the story of a team of astronauts aboard the International Space Station who were performing some pretty groundbreaking studies on the first evidence of extraterrestrial life on Mars. But things turn bad fast when the life form proves way more intelligent and terrifying than anyone could have imagined. To put it bluntly, it looks like someone took the scripts from Alien, Species, and Pandorum, stuck them in a blender, and blended them all together, and that's how we got Life. Which actually, now that I think about it, that seems strangely similar to how we probably got Life here in the first place. And the final newcomer for this coming weekend will be River Rain's Slamma-Jamma, which despite being a film that looks like it'll have some really important things to say about overcoming your past, oppression, and finding your way, the film looks pretty rough from a film analytical perspective, and I'm thinking it's gonna be anything but a slam dunk for the studio, unfortunately. Well, that's it for this week. There's a ton to go see this weekend in theaters, and while yes, my money is still very much on Beauty and the Beast taking the top of the box office for a second weekend in a row, I'm gonna go see as many of these films as I possibly can, and I think you should too. As always, if you like this film, click subscribe so you can keep up with us, comment or like so you can join the conversation, and we'll see you next week on Making Dollars and Cents at the Box Office.